Immediately, the great lord Agamemnon stood up, as did the master strategist Odysseus. The noble steward brought the offerings to ratify the truce, and mixed the wine inside the bowl and poured the washing water on the leader's hands. Then Agamemnon, son of Atreus, drew out the butcher's knife that always hung beside the mighty scabbard of his sword, and lopped off tufts of head hair from the sheep. The stewards shared the tufts among the leaders. Then Agamemnon raised his hand and prayed. Lord Zeus, our mighty father, nursed on Ida, you are the most magnificent and greatest, and Helios the sun, you see and hear everything. And you, rivers, and you, earth, and Hades and Persephone, who punish the wary humans in the underworld if any of them cheated on a promise. You will be our witnesses, protect our oaths. If Paris slaughters Menelaus, let him keep Helen and keep all the wealth and treasure, and let our fleet sail home across the sea. If light-haired Menelaus slaughters Paris, then let the Trojans give back all the wealth and Helen, and they also have to give appropriate compensation to us Greeks to glorify us even in the eyes of people in the future. But if Priam and Priam's sons refuse to pay the price when Paris is defeated, I shall fight to make them give me recompense and stay here until I make an end of war. With that, he used his pitiless bronze to slit the sheep's throats, and he laid them gasping down upon the ground to take their final breaths. The bronze blade took their strength. The Greeks and Trojans ladled the wine out of the mixing bowl and poured it into cups, and then they made prayers to the everlasting gods like this. Zeus, the most glorious and mightiest, and all you other deathless gods, let those who are the first to violate these oaths have their brains spattered on the ground, just like this wine. Theirs and their children. Let their wives become the property of other men. That was their prayer, but Zeus, the son of Cronos, did not yet grant it. Then Dardanian Priam addressed them all. Now listen to me, Trojans and well-armed Greeks. I will go back towards the windy town of Troy. I cannot bear to watch with my own eyes my own dear son fighting with Menelaus, friend of Ares. Zeus and the other deathless gods must know which of the two has been ordained to die. With these words, Priam, equal of the gods, loaded the lambs inside his handsome carriage and mounted it himself and took the reins. Antenor climbed beside him, and the two sped back to Troy. Then Hector, Priam's son, and glorious Odysseus first measured the area, then took the lots and shook them in a bronze helmet to find out which fighter should hurl his bronze spear first. The people prayed, lifting their arms up to the gods, and each, Trojan and Greek alike, made prayers like this. Lord Zeus, our mighty father, nursed on Ida, you are the most magnificent and greatest. Whichever of those two men is to blame for what is happening to Greece and Troy, let that man die and so descend to Hades, and may we have a truce and pact of friendship. So spoke the men, and mighty, bright-helmed Hector, keeping his eyes averted, shook the lots. The lot of Paris jumped right out at once. The fighters sat in rows, and each man set his finely fashioned weapon at his side. The horses kicked their hooves beside the men. But godlike Paris Alexander, husband of Helen with the lovely braided hair, first strapped his armor to his lower legs, beautiful greaves equipped with silver anklets. Around his chest he fixed a corselet, borrowed, although it fit him nicely, from his brother Lycon. Then he slung across his shoulders a silver-studded sword of bronze, and seized his massive, heavy shield. On his strong head he put a well-made helmet with a horse plume. The crest on top looked fearsome as it swayed. He took his sturdy sword, it fit in his hand, and warlike Menelaus likewise armed. When they were ready, from each side they strode into the middle of the Greeks and Trojans, glaring at one another. As they watched, the well-armed Greeks and Trojan horsemen marveled. The two men now stood very close together inside the measured area and brandished their spears in furious anger at each other. Paris let fly his spear that cast long shadows. The bronze struck hard against the balanced shield of Menelaus, son of Atreus, but did not penetrate. The weapon's tip buckled against the sturdy shield. In turn, Lord Menelaus, son of Atreus, leapt up and raised his spear of bronze and prayed to Father Zeus. Lord Zeus, grant that I punish this man who wronged me first, the godlike Paris. Bring him down low beneath my hands, so that all people in the future shrink from harming a host who treated them with love and friendship. With that, he aimed, then hurled his long dark spear and struck the finely balanced shield of Paris. The sturdy weapon pierced the shining shield, went through the intricate breastplate, and then cut right through his tunic to his flank. But Paris escaped black death by leaning to the side. When Menelaus, son of Atreus, drew out his silver-studded sword and raised it high, and then smashed it onto the decoration of his opponent's helmet, but the blade shattered and broke into fragments, 3 or 4, and fell out of his hand, and Menelaus groaned and looked up towards the spreading sky and shouted, "Father Zeus, no other god could be more cruel than you are. I thought that I would punish Paris for his crimes, but now my sword is broken in my hands. I threw my spear away from me in vain. I did not hit him." Then he leapt on Paris and grabbed him by the shaggy horsehair helmet, twisted him round, and started dragging him towards the well-armed Greeks. And Paris had a strap adorned with rivets that secured his helmet under his chin, which choked his delicate neck. Now Menelaus would have dragged him the whole way there and won the glory for all eternity. But Aphrodite, daughter of Zeus, looked down with her keen gaze and broke his ox-hide leather helmet strap. Then Menelaus, with a firm, sure grasp, pulled off the empty helmet, whirled it around, and tossed it out towards the well-armed Greeks, and his companions caught it. Menelaus dashed back again, pursuing Paris, longing to kill him with his spear of bronze. But then the goddess Aphrodite snatched up Paris, with greatest ease, as gods can do, and hid him in a dense mist, and set him down inside his fragrant, perfumed bedroom. Next, the goddess went off to summon Helen, whom she found upon the high wall with some Trojan women. She plucked at Helen's scented dress, disguised in look and voice as the old spinning woman who fashioned pretty woolen clothes for her in Sparta when she lived there, who had loved her. In this guise, heavenly Aphrodite said,